and breathe. Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys and girls for another episode of what is indeed the Arsenal Raw Reaction Show, the morning after a very, very big night before, where Arsenal managed to secure a 1-0 victory away at Brighton, and where their rivals Manchester City were held to a 2-2 draw at home, courtesy of a very, very late goal line clearance that secured a significant boost to Arsenal's title chances. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, where you happen to be joining us from or catching up to. Thank you so much, as always, for listening. Really appreciate your time. I am still so very tired. I didn't get home until way gone midnight, driving home from Brighton last night. The benefit of usually getting the train, of course, to games is that I'll write my morning line on the train, usually meaning that I've just finished it as I get off and head home. But when you're driving to games for evening matches, of course, it means that you are sticking around a lot longer than you usually would after games to finish up your work, and it meant getting home very late. But I enjoyed a number of phone calls to some very good friends while using the hands-free, of course, as I was driving back, and just speaking to some friends celebrating in yesterday's victory, enjoying the moment, and just speaking of the hope that we all have that might come to something very special in a couple of months' time. We shall see. But what a win. What a victorious day. And we're going to talk about all that and more with you all in the chat box. I am delighted. Absolutely delighted. Z, good morning to you. To Garth in the chat box. To Devian Guru. To Kirill. To who else have we got on the chat box this morning? To Dave. To Naniak. Good morning. To Glenn. Good morning. To Kunan Ameka. We've got Paul. We've got Mandy Black Shine in the chat box today. We've got so many of you listening in, which is great. Over 600 of you already in the chat, which is absolutely fantastic to see. Owen has been a member now for 67 months. Says 67 points for 67 months. It's everywhere. PHUK Gamer says Fabian Saltzler was hurting after that one. Love to see it. Come on, you Gunners. Akin, thank you so much for the kind donation. Tom fucking Canton, he says, we are winning the league. The meltdown on Twitter and YouTube has been very satisfying. Is this what May will be like? Oh, May will be better if it turns out the way that we want. Amberley, been a member now for the channel on 34 months. Thank you to you all for your support. Thank you so much, all of you, for listening. And those listening, of course, and watching on catch up, thank you to you as well. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, as always, for listening. Let's not waste any. Let's make sure you drop a like in the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, with those notifications turned on so you never miss a show. But yes, it wasn't pretty, but it's better than what they did. And of course, they being Manchester City, it secured more points than they did. And look, let's be blunt about this. First 58 minutes of this game, we were bad. We weren't very good. We were tired. We were lethargic. We were fatigued. Mikel Arteta was very honest after the game in how he spoke. He explained that there were some players who hadn't even trained. He said that we're coming back from a very difficult games of a lot of intensity, with players really going through the line in every game with difficulties. They're not able to train, and to come here and get the result that we got, I think it's remarkable. We obviously don't know a lot of what goes on behind the scenes. We can make judgments, we can make guesses, we can get little bits of information about what's going on behind the scenes. But it was very obvious just how tired they were, even just from the first 30 minutes of this game. The midfield were absent almost in their entirety for the first 45 minutes. Mendy had an absolute nightmare again. The man needs a rest. He desperately needs a break. Declan Rice as well, making mistakes that we just don't associate with him in any way, shape or form. And there's just a tiredness about them, and they need this break now. They need this game this weekend to rotate heavily and to give opportunities to players that do have the ability to play and to run and to feature. So yeah, look, there's players that can come in, there's players that can be used. Certainly, I'm thinking of Madueke, I'm thinking of Jesus, I'm thinking of Havertz potentially, but Dowman is another one that I'm thinking of as well. Miles Lewis Skelly, Ricardo Calafiori, Mosquera again, of course, as well. We'll come on to him shortly too. And perhaps the likes of Marley Salmon as well, and giving a rest and opportunity to some of these players also. But we'll come on to that. We'll talk about that more tomorrow, because this is all about last night, and this is all about Arsenal getting the result. The lineup was a little surprising. William Saliba twisted his ankle against Chelsea and was not fit and able to play this game. I really do feel as though I'm hoping and I'm praying that they didn't know that he twisted his ankle during the Chelsea game and he continued anyway, because it's madness if he did. Mosquera is there. He should be coming off the bench. If your player's injured, get him off. Protect him. Don't make it worse than it is. But maybe they didn't know. Maybe it was unknown just how bad William Saliba's issue was against Chelsea, and for that reason that he played on until the final whistle. But Mosquera was brought in for this game, and Mosquera's had a really good season, and he's looked a very good player, and he did some good things in this game. But he got an early yellow card, and that early yellow card really did kind of restrict him as a player, I think. Playing on that yellow card meant that he was playing on something of the edge, and it was no surprise at all that he came off in the second half, and he was replaced with Ricardo Calafiori, and that change ended up making a lot of sense and helping a lot. But we'll come on to that a little bit later on. But the opening moments of this game were just fraught with absolute drama and chaos. David Raya, of course, making a big mistake, and Gabriel having to be the man again with being on the line and stopping that from hitting the back of the net. How that could have been ever so different if he had allowed that to go in, I don't know. I have absolutely no idea what would have happened if Gabriel had not stopped this opportunity from hitting the back of the net. But thankfully, Gabriel managed to stop that ball crossing the line, and he had an unbelievably good performance. Gabriel is he the best defender in the world right now? He might be. He might be the best defender in the world right now, because he's so consistent. He steps up so consistently. He's not perfect. It's not to say he's perfect and he can do no wrong. We know that there are little moments in him. But, yeah, defensively, he has been a rock. It was a fantastic challenge, I think, on Mitoma in the box. He slid in the Minter cross in the second half that he got across to and cleared. He is a wall that it seems so impenetrable at times. Really, really impressive performance from him. One of the man of the matches. In fact, probably my man of the match from the game. But against the run of play and Arsenal's, our only shot on target, I think. There was a couple of block shots. I think Havertz maybe had one late on as well. But certainly in the first half, our only chance that we created. Sometimes you need a little bit of fortune to just land your way. A little bit of fortune to just go the way that you want it to. And on his 300th appearance for Arsenal, the man wearing the armband on the day steps up and, in what has been a rarity really for him, cuts inside, takes the shot, gets a little bit of fortune off the deflection from Baleba, I think it was, and the ball goes through Bruggen's legs. It was so bizarre. I was up in the sky, watching the game. The press box at the Amex Stadium for the overflow section, where usually all the away the media who cover the away teams sit so far up in the stands that it was a bizarre one to see. And obviously had the benefit of the replays there, but it was a bizarre one. And Saka needs to do this more. He needs to start taking more opportunities, to take these shots, to have these moments, to create these opportunities. I wish he would shoot earlier. There was a moment in the second half where he got into the box and then again took too long to pull the trigger. I want him to be a bit more urgent. I really do want him to be a bit more chaotic as a player, and maybe again he's still not 100% and he just hasn't looked sharp really all season, but maybe this can be a bit of a springboard for him as well. But a massive moment on his 300th appearance, and the moment that would of course end up being the difference between the two sides. I did see that I think fans voted Bukayo Saka man of the match through the club's own man of the match thing. I mean, I don't know who's voting there, but it wasn't Saka who was man of the match, far from it. In fact, I'd say that our front four in this game were not good overall. Martinelli, Gyökeres, Eze, Saka. Overall, our front four was not effective, the ones that started this game. And we suffered as a result of them being quite poor, kind of holding the ball, keeping the ball, the composure. Particularly Gyökeres just couldn't hold the ball up in any meaningful way and then make the right decision when in possession. He lost it too many times. Eze was just so absent from this game in so many different moments. Martinelli, again, kind of ran around a bit headlessly almost, it felt like at times. And Saka just couldn't get into the game. We just couldn't really get Saka into the game. And I will keep screaming this from the rooftops until people realise, but Martin Odegaard is so greatly missed from this team. I cannot stress how much we miss our captain right now and his presence and his calmness and his composure and his control and his passing. We miss Martin Odegaard so greatly right now, and we do desperately need him to come back, because in these types of games, we really lack that person who can get on the ball, can create space, can take the ball away from opponents, and Jorginho was such a good player last season at doing that for us when we needed him. And we don't have Jorginho anymore. And Christian Norgard came on. And again, look, we've been calling for Christian Norgard. And to be honest, it's not about Christian Norgard's technical ability. It's not about his ability on the ball. It's not about his quality. Zubimendi is absolutely done. He's dead on his feet. He's so tired. He's played more minutes than I think any other Premier League player this season. And he looks so tired. And this is why we should have been using Norgard more often throughout the season. And it's a criticism that I really hope doesn't come back to bite us. And I hope that we get away with it. But we really lacked that ability to make the right choices. And that comes through fatigue. And we just kept kicking the ball so far long. 60 long balls in this game. The most we have ever played in a single Premier League fixture. I said that to Mikel after the game. I mentioned that this was the most long balls that you've ever played in a single Premier League game this season. You know, was that by design? Was it so that when the ball is played long that you've got moment to rest between phases? And he says, no, I think that was down to especially what happened in the game as well. The lack of composure that we have in certain moments. Probably our heart rate is a little too high in certain moments because we are trying to recover as well. Obviously, that is not the intention. But the players at the end have to make the decision if they believe that through certain moments they have to do that, they have to do it. And I said, so ideally you'd want that number to be a lot lower. And he said, yes. Because we don't want to be playing 60 long balls in a game. We don't want to be surrendering possession. And I'll tell you what, at half-time, myself, Charles Watson, James Bench, because if you go up to get to the Brighton press box, you actually have to leave the press room, go out of the stadium, walk around the side of the stadium, go from like gate 1 to gate 24, and then get a lift up, and then go through the kind of the concourse, if you like, through the Brighton fans, and then up to the top of the back of the stadium. It's a real long trip. So like in other stadiums, usually we go down to the press room at half time for a debrief and a bit of a chat. There are some grounds, Club Brugge was another one of those, where you can't do that. You have to stay in your seat because you just don't have time. If you want to get to the press room at half time, you're not going to get back to your seat for the start of the second half. That's how difficult that it is. So myself, Watts and Bench kind of sat down in this just little kind of gap between the seats and the press box. I just had this stressed conversation about what on earth we were witnessing. And we all admit, we were like, it will be a miracle if we don't concede in this game. We were all in agreement that it would be a miracle that if we don't concede, because the way we were playing that first half was just nowhere near good enough. And it began similarly in the second half. And, you know, it was much down to this man as to why Arsenal continued to stay strong, to stay resolute, to stay so in control. Piero Hincapie had an outstanding game. And if you are talking about who is the best player of the last month till now, it is Piero Hincapie. He has been Arsenal's best player for a fair few weeks now. He has been so consistent, so good. His engine is incredible. I sincerely hope that we protect him this weekend and Calafiori starts and Mosquera starts. And, we might need some help from some of the younger players to give a rest to some of the others because he is flat out. Some of the runs he was making, some of the recovery runs that he made, his aerial presence, I felt so sorry for him against Chelsea that he scored that own goal because he didn't deserve to have that own goal scored. I know it was a poor header because he had a great game against Chelsea. But my goodness gracious me, yeah, look, he's so good. And I remember days where people were saying, I don't know if we should make that loan deal permanent. Well, no one's saying that now. No one is saying this is a £45 million bargain. I'm telling you for that. Piero Hincapie, what a fantastic signing. And, you got to look at the broader context of the conversation. Miles Lewis-Skelly's weakness had been defensively, kind of the areas in which he can caught in behind and could pushed up too far in the pitch and then get caught on the counter. You can see why Arsenal did this deal. You can see why Arsenal did this, with all the respect and the love and appreciation for Miles Lewis-Skelly being a very young player still and having lots to learn. If it was Calafiori and Lewis-Skelly, I don't know if we would be in this position without Hincapie. He has been so important to Arsenal season. Having his presence, having his, having the option of him has been so incredibly important. But yeah, I talked about the 58th minute. It was one of the worst 58 minutes of hell. It really was, other than the goal. 57, if you like. 57 minutes of hell we had to endure in this game, right up until we made the changes. Kai Havertz comes off the bench. Trossard comes off the bench. And then shortly after that, Calafiori comes off the bench. Those three substitutes changed the game for us. Gyökeres comes off, who is, with all the will and love and respect in the world, had been really quite poor in this game, had just not been able to get on the ball, was constantly losing the ball at the upper end of the pitch. Havertz comes on, dropping in, picking up the ball, laying it off, staying composed. Couple of chances, unlucky not to even get a goal. Potentially great tackle from, I think it was Baleba to stop the one where he was kind of through. Really good challenge to recover. There's another. He kept on beating the offside trap really well. His movement was so that the opposition could not read his movement and his positioning, and it got him in a couple of times. He had an absolutely fantastic performance off the bench, and you have to look. And I spoke to a couple of people afterwards that really didn't get it. Thankfully, there was numbers that did see what he was doing so well, and that was that he was giving Arsenal control again. If you watch the first 58 minutes as opposed to the last 30 minutes, my goodness gracious me, it is a night and day scenario. And that's because of what he did, and it's because of what Trossard did, and it's because of what Calafiori did. Michael said he didn't press. He didn't need to press. It wasn't about pressing. That was not his job, to come off the bench and run himself ragged when we know he's not fully fit. If you're asking a player that's not fully fit to press constantly, you're giving them the wrong instruction. Thankfully, Mikel Arteta is the manager, and his instructions that he gave to Havertz were spot on. Drop in, pick up the ball, keep possession, find the layoffs, find the movement. Movement was spot on and perfect. He was so greatly missed. We're missing Mikel Merino massively. Mikel Merino would be coming on in these games and really helping us see these games out. Havertz did everything right that he had to do. He didn't have to press. It wasn't about kind of pushing the back line because Brighton were escaping. We didn't have that target man. There was a couple of headers that he won really well as well. And it just needed to continue staying in control. If you watch the way in which we played from the first hour to the last 30 minutes, that's all about that. Trossard wasn't particularly great, but what Trossard did that Martinelli didn't again was get on the ball. Martinelli couldn't get on the ball at all. Trossard was dropping in, picking up, linking up with Calafiori after he came on, just closing the gaps between the players, creating less risk in our passes. We had to wrestle back control in that last 30 minutes. And while those last 10 minutes were still a bit fractious, still a bit fraught, still a bit nervy, Brighton tired. We worked them out. We tired them out. We frustrated them, and we grabbed back control of this game. And that was courtesy of those substitutes. They didn't have to play brilliantly. They just had to play to a level that was what we required, and they did that. And so for me, if we can keep Kai Havertz fit for the rest of this, if we can get him fit, get him fully fit so that he can press, so that he can do the work that he needs to do on top of this, just the basic elements that we have needed, he is going to be a player that could potentially help win Arsenal this title. He is that important to this team because in those types of games, Gyökeres is redundant. That's not Gyökeres' fault. He's not tailored to these types of games. Havertz is much more tailored to these types of games. I thought it was very, very clear why Gabriel Jesus didn't come off the bench. As soon as Gabriel Jesus came off the bench against Wolves, we fell apart entirely. We couldn't keep control. We couldn't keep composed. He didn't do anything when the ball came to him. Watch how we finished the game against Wolves with Jesus up front compared to how we finished this game with Havertz up front. Watch those two ends to those two games. Jesus has got his qualities in other areas, but it isn't helping seeing out games. It really, really isn't. And Havertz worked so incredibly hard in those last 30, and he's a big, big reason why we continued to win and went on to win this game. Off the pitch, let's talk about this insufferable man that is Fabian Hurzeler. What a whinging, hypocritical, contradictory, miserable man. Do you know what's so ironic? And so many people sent me messages to point this out. People pointed out to me that Fabian Hurzeler was kind of going mad on the touchline about Arsenal's time wasting, Arsenal doing this, Arsenal doing that. Watch every single time Arsenal got a free kick in the middle of the pitch. There was 3 different occasions Arsenal tried to take free kicks quickly, and there was a Brighton player standing about a yard away from the ball, preventing Arsenal from taking their free kicks quickly. If you're going to complain and moan about time wasting and taking too long over moments, then maybe you should instruct your players not to stop Arsenal from actually taking free kicks quickly. Maybe you should probably give that instruction. He spoke before the game about this. It's clear that he wanted to energize the crowd in a certain way, and it worked. The crowd, every single time Arsenal took slightly too long, by the way, on average, Arsenal takes 7 seconds longer from set pieces to take them compared to Brighton, 7 seconds per set piece. And you play to the ref, right? Now, if I'm a Brighton fan, and I'll be very magnanimous here, I'd be fuming at the referee's performance. The referee had a dreadful game. Arsenal were quite fortunate in how Chris Kavanagh refereed that game. And if the shoe was on the other foot, I would be pulling my hair out at the referee's performance. I thought we were quite lucky that Chris Kavanagh allowed so much of what happened to go. I empathise a little bit about David Raya. Look, we pushed our luck. I'll be very honest. We definitely pushed our luck in this game. But there is hypocrisy from Hurzeler. There's no doubt about that. And I've talked about Hurzeler before on this channel. He whinges, he whines, he moans. He's an inexperienced coach. And it's going to be intriguing to see how these last 8 games are now officiated. I said to Ryan Taylor, who I was sitting next to, obviously a colleague of mine, I was convinced that we were going to give away a penalty for grappling in this game. I really was convinced that we were going to give away a penalty just because I thought we were going to be made an example of in this game. And I'm really grateful, obviously, that didn't happen. Some people have pointed out to me that Martinelli could have given away a penalty. I haven't actually seen it. I'm just watching it back now. I think there's a good case. I think there's a really good case for a penalty there, just watching it back here right now in this moment. Martinelli's making no play for the ball. He's got hold of the player. The player goes down. I think that's probably a penalty. I think we've probably got a bit fortunate there, and we need to be really careful about those things because there's a couple of moments where I think we've been a bit fortunate. The Declan Rice one, obviously, against Chelsea. I still think, if you give that, you've got to give the Nunez one against Leeds for City. He did give 7 added minutes of play, so he definitely allowed, Arsenal wasted time, but it was added on at the end. 7 added minutes at the end of the game where there was no stoppages, really, for anything major during the game, besides like a David Raya injury. But look, sometimes you got to get a little bit lucky. Adegoke says the Martinelli stuff ain't it. The pen would be very soft. It's not very soft at all. He's not looking at the ball. He's nowhere near the ball. He's grabbing hold of the player. The player's got all the right in the world to go down. I'd want our player to do exactly the same thing at the other end of the pitch, and I'd feel aggrieved if we didn't get it. You've got to be magnanimous sometimes. You've got to be balanced. You've got to remove your bias at times and just hold your hands up and say, we got lucky there. We got a bit fortunate with that decision, and we did. But to come out after the game and speak how he spoke, Brighton have won 3 of their last 16 games, and he's talking like a manager that's under pressure because he should be under pressure. Brighton have had an underwhelming season. They have underperformed this season, and he's a manager that rightfully is under pressure. There was a real funny moment, though, in the press conference where he turned around and said, he said, let me get the exact quote. I think Miguel Delaney tweeted it. Let me see if I can find it. Hurzeler said, let's go. Where is it? I can't find it. Here it is. He said, if you ask everyone in here in this room, did they enjoy this game? Maybe one raises their hand because he's a big Arsenal fan. I was so tempted. I was so tempted to just be like, I enjoyed the end of it. Like, obviously, being incredibly unprofessional. But I was so tempted that I was sitting literally right front row of that press room, right in front of him, and I couldn't stifle a couple of giggles throughout the press conference. It was tough. And then Arteta, of course, comes out straight after, and he responded absolutely perfectly. James Benge said to him, Fabian was with us before. He's not happy about how the way your team played. He said that you make your own rules. He specifically mentioned 3 occasions that David Raya went down injured. What is your reaction to what he said? And specifically on David, was he injured? And Arteta just went, what a surprise. And James said, would you like to expand on that? And Arteta said, no. Which is great. But he did say, you just go back to previous games and you'll find a lot of comments like this always. I love my players. That's the highlight. I love my players. We love our players. And I love the way that we compete. There was another comment as well, which was he was asked, do you feel like there's a lot of anger aimed at your players externally? And he said, I think they love our players. I mean, every time they talk about our players, I think they are the most loved ones in the country. I mean, how brilliant is that? He's just, I mean, there's so much he's saying, they must love us. They can't stop talking about us. They talk about our players more than any other player in the country. They must absolutely love us if they're talking about us so much. Arteta's not really been one for like the press conference vibes, get drawn into the mind games, drawn into kind of the narrative. He does kind of like to let it wash off. He does kind of like to, not involve himself in it. But there are the rare moments where he does. And in that moment, he did. And oh, goodness gracious me, it was just great. It was perfect. It was just perfect. I was sitting there, I couldn't help but giggle. I don't know if you could hear it in the room, but I couldn't help it. It was just so funny. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. He was asked another question about Hurzeler, and it just said next question, like he just didn't want to be asked about it. He was asked by Sam Dean, do you care what other managers say of you? And he said, care? Yeah, it depends. Sam said, on the manager? He said, yeah, and the comments, and the purpose as well. So, it's it's quite something. But it was great. And of course, Manchester City's result means that Arsenal have moved 7 points clear at the top of the table in the Premier League, with 8 games for them left to play. City's game in hand is against Crystal Palace. I assume many of you probably want me to have a look at what Opta is saying about the predictions and the algorithms and what that's done. I can tell you that before this game, Manchester City had a 16% chance of winning the title. Arsenal's title chances were 85%, according to Opta. That result last night, City's chances have dropped to 6.4%, and Arsenal's chances have risen to 93.6%. That's the Opta algorithm. That's its supercomputer. What it predicts will be the case after those results. Very, very, very positive outlook at the moment with 8 games to play. Not only that, but of course, Manchester City have now, certainly, after Arsenal have navigated Tottenham, Chelsea and Brighton, 2 of those being away from home, Manchester City's remaining games, they go next away to relegation fighting West Ham. They then have their game in hand. Well, actually, to be fair, we don't know if it's going to be them, but their game against Crystal Palace needs to still be rearranged. They must go to Stamford Bridge. Chelsea beating Aston Villa last night. I mean, goodness gracious me, Unai Emery, can you be a bigger bottler? I don't know. They go to Burnley, who are also, again, fighting for their lives. They host Arsenal. They go to Everton. They host Brentford. They go to Bournemouth. And they host Aston Villa. Arsenal, on the other hand, and the fixtures that Arsenal have remaining, Arsenal have 8 more games. They leave London once. The time that they leave London is going to Manchester City. They host Everton. They host Bournemouth. They host Newcastle. They host Fulham. They go away to West Ham. Our next 5 league games, 4 of them are at home. We need the Emirates to become an absolute fortress in those next 5 games. We need it to be an absolute fortress. We've got 3 more away games, Man City, West Ham, Palace, and we've got 5 home games left to play in this season. And we've got to use that to our advantage. This is why we remember the first half of the season where we'd said we'd gone to Anfield, we'd gone to Old Trafford, we'd gone to Goodison. Well, what's it called? I was going to say the Ken Fryer. It's not called that. It's called something else. Hill Dickinson, the Hill Dickinson Stadium. We've been there. We've been to Turf Moor. We've been to Villa Park. We've gone to St James's Park. We've gone to the Stadium of Light. We've gone to all these difficult grounds in the first half of the season. We've gone to Stamford Bridge. We've ticked all these stadiums off. And we've got the Etihad to go. We've got the West Ham Stadium to go. And we've got Selhurst Park to go on the final day. Arsenal 7 points clear. 30 games played. Manchester City, 60 points. 7 behind Arsenal, 29 games played. Man United, beaten by Newcastle United. Arsenal are 16 points clear of Manchester United in 3rd at the moment, which I don't think should, by the way, be... Like, we talk about this being the worst Premier League season ever. Arsenal being criticised, what they are, what they aren't. 16 points clear of 3rd, Arsenal. Currently 16 points clear of 3rd. £2 billion Chelsea are 19 points behind Arsenal. £2 billion spent on that squad, 19 points behind Arsenal. The reigning Premier League champions, beaten by Wolves, 19 points behind Arsenal. It's just such absolute bollocks that this league gets criticised because of who's at the top, how we're at the top, and what we're doing to be at the top, and how we're playing. Joint most goals scored in the league this season, 59, and a goal difference that is better than anybody else's by a country mile. 37 plus goal difference. Man City on 32. In 3rd place, the goal difference is 11. In 4th place, the goal difference is 5. In 4th, it's 5. This is the most competitive Premier League season of all time. This is the most difficult Premier League season ever to win. Not the worst season ever. This is the most competitive, the toughest, the most difficult, the most challenging, with a team sitting bottom of the table, condemned already to relegation of beating the champions. This is the toughest Premier League season ever. And if Arsenal win it, they will go down not as the worst champions ever, not of the champions of the worst Premier League season ever, but the champions of one of the all-time most difficult Premier League seasons to have won. That's what Arsenal will be if they win it, but it still remains if right now. What isn't an if, though, is if you are safe and secure while surfing the internet, because you can be sure that you can give yourself that extra layer of protection by going to nordvpn.com/Gooner and getting yourself a significant discount off a 1 or a 2-year deal. So make sure you go over to nordvpn.com/Gooner. Get yourself a 4 months extra on top of those 1 or 2 year plans that you can get involved in. This award-winning service, 10 plus years of experience in the field, servers across 181 countries, and an account that can be used across 10 different devices, be that your phone, your laptop, your mobile, whatever you like. NordVPN has got your back. So thank you to Nord for supporting the channel. That's nordvpn.com/Gooner. Right, let's go to part 2. Get some of your reactions from the chat box, some of your feelings, and a very important announcement that you are going to want to make sure that you don't miss. Hello and welcome to part 2 of today's show, where we are drinking the tears of Fabian. We are talking about Arsenal's victory over Brighton in the Premier League. Arsenal moving 7 points, 7 points clear at the top at the Premier League table after beating, of course, the Seagulls on the South Coast. Apparently, sea levels are rising, but they're rising higher in Brighton because all the tears. I can't help it. They just keep coming to me. I can't stop. Yes, I promised you an announcement, and I'm going to give you the announcement. Lots of you have been asking the question. Tom, every year you do your show. You do it's usually like February, like March. Well, this year I wanted to do something slightly different. This year I wanted to do it at a slightly different time, and I'm very happy to welcome back the Gooner Talk Live 2026. Our live event is returning. Our in-person podcast is coming back this year. And if you would like to be in attendance, I can tell you that we are doing this live event on Monday, May 18th. That is the Monday after the final home game of the season against Burnley. So Arsenal take on Burnley. At the moment, it's scheduled for Sunday, May 17th. I am planning on hosting this live event on Monday, the 18th of May. I will be putting tickets on sale in the next 24 hours. So most likely you'll hear about it. If you're in our Discord server, I'll be sending you the link, obviously slightly earlier. Then they'll be going out. I'll be sending the link out publicly. So if you're in our Discord server, you're one of our members, you'll be able to get early access to these tickets. There is only a limited number available. It is first come, first serve. It is in the same venue as last time. It's not the biggest venue, but it is an amazing venue, and that's why we stay there and we love it. Obviously, previous years we've had some amazing guests. We've had obviously our good friends of the show, Clive, Charles Watts, James Green, Laura Kirk-Francis, Jeremy Aliadier was our special guest last year. And so we'll be shaking things up as always. My right-hand man, I think you can always know that Mr. Harry Symeou will, of course, be joining me. He won't mind me telling you, of course, but he's our staple, Mr. Symeou, of course, of these shows. So if you would like to come along, tickets will be going on sale in the next 24 hours. And I'll make sure to tweet and put a post out on our YouTube feed. And of course, I'll be sending out the link in our Discord server slightly earlier than it will be going out live, but they're going to fly off like hotcakes. So, because it's a limited number, and if you want to be there, it's at the Old Queen's Head in Angel. It's the place where we have hosted our last couple of live events. All the details for the event will be on the website. It is 18 plus. I should stress that because last time someone turned up with their kid and it's a pub and they weren't allowed in because they didn't have ID. Eventually, I think they did make an exception, very thankfully, because they were accompanied by an adult. But I have to stress this time it is 18 plus. So you have to be over the age of 18 to attend. So apologies. It is also up a staircase. So we sadly don't have wheelchair access for that area because you do need to be able to go up the tight staircase to access the room where we do it. So apologies for that as well. But yeah, so it's 18 plus, staircase accessible only. And the date, as I said before, is May 18th, Monday, May 18th. It'll be in the evening, 6:30 doors open, 7 o'clock the event will start. It'll be myself and 4 guests. Harry Symeou is one of them. I like to keep a surprise for the rest of them. But we're always trying to shake it up every single year. But it'll be familiar faces that you'll know, of course, from friends of ourselves here and wider across things as well. So make sure I'll be putting the link up in the next 24 hours. Of course, I'll promote it in tomorrow morning's show, and I'll put the link in the description and today's description as well once it's out. Yeah, you'll be able to grab your tickets there, but I'll be leaving it in the Discord server very soon. So that's Monday, 18th of May at the Old Queen's Head in Angel. That is where it's going to be. So looking forward to seeing so many of you there on that night. And hopefully, fingers crossed, the reason why I've done it in May is to hopefully celebrate a title. We will wait and see if that turns out to be possible. Right, let's go into the chat, Shelby, and tackle some of your questions. Let's go. Walt says, years of beautiful football and yet criticised for being weak and wasteful. Now we have toughened up and learned how to win. And the same critics who called us ugly, behold the monster that you have created. I absolutely love that. That's definitely my favourite comment of the show so far. Absolutely brilliant. Badsy says, I feel like we are winning the league in third gear this season, but I have a horrible memory. Can you think of the Premier League games this season where we truly clicked? Yeah, I mean, a couple of weeks ago, we absolutely battered Tottenham. If you think about battering Aston Villa at home this season as well, think about going to Leeds and winning 4-0. We turned around to win 3-0 against Sunderland, of course, not so long ago either. We've beaten Chelsea across 2 legs, winning both of those games. We've gone to the San Siro and, in my opinion, been very impressive. We've beaten Bayern Munich this season. We've beaten Atletico Madrid 4-1. I'm sorry, but this idea that we aren't clicking or there are some games where we haven't clicked, we have. But it's a tough league. These are tough teams. They're difficult to beat. So it's a very, very, very hard league to win. So, yes, we absolutely have clicked in games, but these are difficult games. Jimmy says, I only hope that we will not get the narrative that referees are helping us. Manchester City should have a penalty yesterday, and we were lucky that we didn't concede one. We have to be more composed. Vishal says, how do you like them cojones? Absolutely. Gita says, Fabian Hurzeler's middle name is Karen. Could be. Mike says, not assuming anything, is there any members of the current squad that you will remember fondly? Every single one of them. Kirill says, oh my God, Tom, really isn't going to read my super chats. I will save them for next time. Sorry, I missed that. Kirill says, I'm enjoying the crying of our haters and pundits. Me too, mate. And sorry, I missed that super chat. Fuad says, any other season that the lunge of the tackle from Mosquera on Minter, he goes down there, they get a penalty, he gets sent off. Sometimes you need a little bit of luck to win the league, and we definitely deserve some. Dappy says, when the noise becomes louder, you're doing something right. Stay focused to end with Arsenal. Absolutely. To the end, Arsenal. Peter says, by the way, this hypocrite manager at Brighton is a kid himself. He's simply a bad loser. John says, I have to rate the referee in the Man City game for not giving Haaland's penalty call. Can clearly see Haaland kicks the ball away from the keeper and then moves himself and the leg towards the keeper. Yeah, massive credit. Massive, massive credit. I've always loved referees. Always rated them. Never said a bad word about them. Pablo says, slapped up Brighton a few times now. It's great. Basil Hart says, hello from Africa. I'm your biggest fan. Thank you so much for tuning in from Africa. Really appreciate your listenership. Plain Echo says, no one is clicking in the Prem. Every team has great defenders. Well, mostly. Ben says, everything is falling our way at the moment. Fingers crossed, touch wood. John says, we'll start playing beautiful football when teams stop employing low blocks. To be fair, Brighton did not play a low block. It would be fair to say Brighton did not play a low block yesterday. We just looked so tired. It's quite good we haven't got another Premier League game for more than a week now, but we have got a game at Mansfield. I mean, if we have a quick look at our squad, right, that game against Mansfield, Kepa in goal, I really would go Sam. If White's not fit, Salmon at right back, right? If not, hopefully Ben White can be available, but I doubt he will be. If not, Ben White, Mosquera, Calafiori, and Lewis Skelly as the back four. I think that has to be it, right? So Mosquera, Lewis Skelly, Calafiori, and maybe Marley Salmon as the back four. Christian Norgard in midfield with... that's tough, isn't it? So it'll be Jesus, Martinelli, and Madueke as the front three. Havertz as the 10. Maybe Havertz is the 10. We got Dauman, I guess, as well. You can use Dauman as well. Maybe Dauman as the 10. Dauman in midfield. But who's the other midfielder going to be? Is it going to be Havertz as well? Playing like left 8, Dauman right 8, Madueke, Jesus, Martin. I mean, that's exciting. It's an exciting team. Yeah, it's just going to be difficult. We just need to make sure that we're saving players and Havertz as well. Like at that pitch, I did. You'll get some quotes actually coming out tomorrow night, Saturday morning about Mansfield, and the pitch was definitely a focus. But Chloe says, has Salmon served his ban? I think he'll be fine. I don't think he'll be banned for the FA Cup. Helicopter says the refs make crap calls all the time. I hate the narrative of refs are helping us. I don't like to criticise the referees, but we weren't given a clear penalty against Nottingham Forest. There are levels out here from City. They've not been given a penalty. Yeah, I mean, the handball, it's 50-50 for me, but I know a lot of people feel that it was a penalty. So, yeah, swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Roy says, Tom, which pundit and manager will provide the saltiest tears should we win the league? Neville Scholes. Scholes seems like he's lost his mind, doesn't he? Brain cells are decaying at a very rapid rate, it seems, with him. Cannonball says, according to the data from The Athletic, Brighton leads the league in yellow cards, specifically awarded for tactical fouls, as well as some reckless offences. Doing some AI work, they waste more time. D says, City's players are a law unto themselves and have been for some time. City's players are very good at speaking after games about referees. Rodri put a lot of pressure on referees. Bernardo Silva, I think, did it last night. It was like, we get it now. Like, we know how it is. It's like, you've got so lucky with referees this season. Paul says, just ignore the noise. We can't control the haters and the trolls. Eyes on the prize. We're 3 points and 1 game close to glory. Enjoy the ride. Absolutely. Officer, should we sacrifice the FA Cup? I don't think you can go out the FA Cup to Mansfield, mate. We go out to Mansfield, I think there's a mentality side of things there, but I'm happy to rotate in every FA Cup. And we should be rotating anyway. We spent a lot of money on this squad. We should be rotating heavily for these cup games. The FA Cup is the least important competition that we have left, in my opinion. We're in a final of the League Cup. That's a priority over the FA Cup right now because you're in that final. You've got to try and win it. But you're right. And we've played our game in hand as well. I know that we drew there and we came very close to winning, but the fact that we've played our game in hand against Wolves already, and that we've got that out of the way. We've got that point on the board. It should have been 3. It's only 1. But City still have to play that Palace game. They've got Champions League games against Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. Hopefully the fatigue starts to kind of set in for City as well, and that this mental load of like the effort they put in against Forest to only get a point, while Arsenal obviously get all 3. Hopefully that starts to take its toll on them as well. Daniel says, take a second to imagine the perfect season. Arsenal win the league. City finish second, Spurs go down, City get points deducted and also go down. That would be football completed. Joseph says the narrative that refs are helping us is so easy to see through. They want to get the referees to screw us over. Yeah, it's obvious. They're trying to influence the decisions. Hurzeler's trying to influence the Premier League after the game about the time wasting. But as I said before, if you want to stop time wasting, then maybe stop putting players in front of free kicks to stop them being taken quickly. Superstar says, to be fair, the referees have been a little less biased towards this year, so it makes sense that other teams think that we're now being favoured by them. Bika says, Tom, the biggest issue I have with the discourse around Arsenal is no one talks about style of play when the teams have the deepest defensive lines against us for the majority of the season, and yet supposedly we're the ones ruining the league. John says, did you hear the stupid comment from Pardew? He said there would be an asterisk on the league top. Yeah, it's not even worth it. There's a reason why he's been out of management so long and he's bottled FA Cups. And, it's just not a very good footballing mind, is Alan Pardew. Vincent says, Tom, a win is a win, but this is the way the game is set up. If we're going to throw long balls, then you need Kai and Victor Gyökeres there. What's the point of screaming the striker had to hold up the ball but no support? Gyökeres just isn't very good at holding up the ball. He's good at stretching defenses, but he's not very good at hold-up play. At least he wasn't in this game. He's had some games where he's been better at it. Brentford, he was all right at it. But this game, he was very poor at his hold-up game. Space Monkey says, hi, Tom. I think Butt Hurzeler also forgot that we've already beaten him twice this season. Once when his team managed just a single shot on target, and another time when we played with our kids as well. Yeah, 3 times we've beaten them this season. 3 wins over them. Claire says Jason Cundy was actually defending us last night. Makes it nice. To be fair, Jason Cundy, right? He's a wind-up merchant, but he winds up everyone. He's on the level to wind up everybody. I don't think that he's actually like down too much on Arsenal. Like, obviously, O'Hara is just there for jokes. And I think Simon Jordan and Jim White discussed the idea of that show being just basically for entertainment, whereas their show isn't. But I mean, still, I don't necessarily agree with a lot with what Simon Jordan says at all. But I do think it's fair to say that show's not about the same thing that Jason Cundy and O'Hara are about. Callum says the refs defo not biased in my opinion. They are just overwhelmed and not up to the standards. They have to commentate as they referee, and that looks tough. John says if we win this league with probably our most disjointed front four in recent seasons, with a serious lack of goals from the front four and midfield, this will go down as an unbelievable season. I mean, defensively, it will go down as a brilliant campaign. A massive, massive campaign. Aquarium says, how's the Opta prediction now? We just talked about it. 93.6% Arsenal are up to Manchester City on 6.4 for reference. So there you go. Let's go to D says fair assessment. Yeah, 100%. Bulgarian Gooner says, did you see the newspaper articles from the 30s uploaded on X battering Arsenal when we were on top? Incredible how similar it is. Yeah, I told you, Arsenal have always been hated. You got to get used to it. We've always been hated. It's just how it works. It's just how it works. Jabu says, people who said the Premier League is boring really were mad. This season has been the most challenging season. No club is easy. This real competition, not City winning every week. I love this league. Dyer says, Raya, 14 clean sheets already, better than last season. Yeah, he's on track for a third successive Golden Glove award. What a goalkeeper. He's got his moment. You know, he had his moment in the first moments of this game. Obviously made his mistake against Wolves. You know, again, I know we disagree, some of us, but for me, that's a Raya mistake, not a Gabriel mistake. And obviously he also made a bit of an error against Brentford, but he's got those moments, but ultimately his pros like so far outweigh the cons. It's not even fair. Wilson says, why on earth is there so much bitterness towards Arsenal every damn time, Tom? Bloody hell, man. I hear you. But just sometimes you got to embrace the hate. You just got to embrace it. People don't like us. People don't like Arsenal. People have never really liked Arsenal. It's envy. There's a lot of envy about Arsenal. There really, really is. Jimmy says, was at the game last night, Brighton End, next to some Arsenal fans, went the whole game trying not to sing until the end, and I got some looks. Traffic was a nightmare, little sleep, worth it. Maximus says, Tom, there's a small case of Rodri's punishment for the ref corruption comments. I mean, that's not corruption. It's just the charge hasn't gone its way through yet. Aquarium says, when will you think Wenger will come to games to celebrate? I hope he's there for the final game of the season. That'd be brilliant, you know, if he was. It's just jealousy, says Barry. Any news on Saliba? He twisted his ankle against Chelsea. Hopefully it's not too serious, but we don't expect him to be involved at the weekend. Nick says, who from this squad gets in the team of the season when we win the title? I mean, obviously Declan Rice, Gabriel, David Raya. I think Jurriën Timber's got a shout, absolutely. I think Piero Hincapie is making a really big shout for it in the second half of this season as well. But like the forward players, there's not many forward players that do. You know, I don't think you're going to see many forward players from Arsenal in the team of the season. I can't see it right now. Trossard had a shout, but has faded in the last few weeks. I think Zubimendi has faded, obviously, in the last month. But the first like August, September, October, November, December, first 5 months of the season, Zubimendi was awesome. Absolutely awesome. He's just shattered. Like Zubimendi is just absolutely shattered. So I think that might cost him in the end. But I mean, who are you going to put in front of? Maybe Elliot Anderson, potentially, but I might be biased because he scored basically for Arsenal last night. Paul says, we've been hated by everyone since we became the first Southern team to win the league. Nothing changes. It's just the media and the individuals that are attacking us. Aquarium says, how tough do you think Leverkusen? I think it'll be tough. And I think, you know, we need to... A draw in that first leg is not a bad result in Leverkusen. I think we just have to make it through that game unscathed, take that game back to the Emirates. And we just need to have a week of managing games, really. Managing minutes, managing opportunity, and staying as sharp and as fit as we possibly can. The 22nd says, absolutely love it. Every week there's a new complaint about Arsenal set pieces, time wasting, defensive performances, Mikel out of his technical area. I love it all. Max says, Saka has been our star boy and been carrying the team for so long. Imagine if we didn't have Saka or Odegaard in the team of the season. I mean, I know, but Saka and Odegaard have not had their best seasons. Offensively, we've not had our best season, but we have been supported by a foundation of brilliance, really. Callum says, how much would you value Mosquera in today's... Oh, he's easily a 30, 40 plus million pound player for us. No doubt about that. You know, Arsenal have easily doubled, perhaps trebled their money. Comfortably, I think, have trebled their money. That'd be 39 million quid. So, yeah, 100%. Shot up in value. Loads of value now there. To be fair, we signed him because he only had like a year left on his deal, didn't he? So he probably would have cost a lot more. had he had a longer contract with Valencia. Jay says, hope we win everything with set pieces. Let the haters hate. Don't forget United won the Champions League in 1999 with 2 goals from Beckham corners. Claire says, most wins on the road, least losses on the road, most goals on the road. There's a reason why we are top. Bulgarian Gunner says, Osula as a potential addition in the future. I don't know about that. Cheno says, can we take some time to laugh at our North London rivals who are only 1 point above the relegation zone? Relegation is a real threat. Yeah, they play tonight. They're at home, I think. To who are they at home to? I'm not sure who they're at home to. Is it Palace, I think, potentially tonight? I think it's Palace, isn't it? So let's see how that one goes down. Goon84 Full says, any remedies for the sodium poisoning, as I've been drinking so many of the haters' tears recently. So much salt. It's just so much salt. And I love it. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. Really appreciate your time. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. As mentioned before, tickets will be going on sale for that Gooner Talk live event May 18th at the Old Queen's Head in Angel. I'll be making sure tickets go out to our members in our Discord server first, and then they'll be going out publicly. There's over 1,500 of you watching. I can tell you there's a lot less available seats than that. I imagine a lot of you obviously are a bit from a further afield, but I'll make sure that you can see where they are. I'll be putting it on the YouTube posts page. If you always wonder, by the way, where the YouTube post page is, if you click on the Gooner Talk YouTube channel homepage, at the top, there's like a number of tabs where it says home, videos, shorts, live, podcasts, playlists. The next one along is posts. If you click on that posts tab, that's where you'll see when if you turn your notifications on, you should also still get a notification that they're going to go live. But you're not going to want to miss out on that. Monday, May 18th, the Monday after the final home game of the season against Burnley. It's also FA Cup final that weekend as well. So I look forward, hopefully, to welcoming plenty of you to a brilliant night of Arsenal chat with myself, Harry Symeou, and 3 more surprise special guests. Have a fantastic rest of your day, people. Enjoy yourselves. Go rub it into your mates. Just drink those salty tears. I'll see you very soon. Stay safe, stay well, stay happy and respectful. And as always, up the Arsenal.